Hey everybody, it's Amanda from LHL Organizing, and today we're doing episode 8 of Going Extreme Minimalist. And I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in myself for this starting point because I really thought I was already doing good in this category. So today we're gonna do books. And I wanna explain real quickly what that does include and what that doesn't include. So I did pull out, but I'm not really gonna go through some workbook type things. So I have 2 of those. So I have these 2 workbooks where there's sections to fill out, and I think I haven't actually wrote in this one at all, but I definitely have in this one, and I'm just not going to go through them today. Also, I have music books, and I'm not going to go through them with books. I'm going to go through those with music instruments because they are music instrument specific. So I do have cookbooks in here. I have books that I was using for display. I'm including Bibles. I'm including reference books, and nothing that I created, but if it was published that way, it's in there. I'm also including yearbooks. So I've looked through my yearbooks, and yes, people signed my names, but there's really no private information in them. It's just the published book that everybody has, and then a bunch of, cliche comments that everybody wrote in the early 2000s. So the yearbooks are also in here. But I truly thought that I had already let go of most of my reference books and most of the for fun read books. There were quite a few. I think I've donated them back at my parents' place. Did I donate them or did I leave them? I don't think they're here. So there's a bunch of Lillian McDaniel and Dean Koontz books. But I thought I got them out, but I really don't remember doing anything with them. So I might have donated them to little libraries. I'm not sure what I did. We'll have to look back at the farm again. That's another category of things I don't really know how to include because they are things that I abandoned at my parents' place. So it could be some childhood nostalgia items that just didn't serve any functional purpose in my adult life, but it also wasn't the highly sentimental stuff for me. So we'll deal with that later. I have a table full of it, so I'll probably do a session. I just don't know if I think it doesn't really fall into this particular bucket. So anyway, problem for another day. What we're covering today is books. So I'll show you just how many books I actually kept, and keep in mind that the box here is full. So stay with me. All right, here we go. You can see the yearbooks there. And then here is the books that were kind of out and about. So these were on my shelf for display. You'll also notice these 2 were on the shelf for display. The others were in my office library from the top. The Bible, oh, it's down on the bottom now. That one was in the bedroom, the Bible over there. Underneath you'll see I have also that Passions one. So inside this book is textbooks that I use for reference for work. And then over here is recipes. So this is actually a manual with code references for how to use my scale. I did go ahead and bring it over, but we will be keeping it. My goal would be to put it in the binder with all of the individual recipes I want to keep. So these are all the books from the kitchen. And then this bin was loose printed recipes, and my intention is to also skim that down to the 1 or 2 that I actually want to keep and put them in the binder as well. So I'm not going to make you sit through me going through the recipes, but we'll show a little bit of B-roll with that. All right, we're set up for sorting. I've been reading off of the Kindle and using library books for a long time, so even my self-help books are largely in that format. But clearly, I have a ton of books still. And I'm shocked and surprised at myself for this. I think quite a few of them are referenced at this point, but we're going to do our best to go through and narrow stuff down. So, where did I put the Bible? Did anybody see it? It's over here, I think. Ugh. Okay. For the record, we're keeping this. It's my only physical full Bible at this time, and I'm still doing the Bible recap program. This is the box it came in. I don't know that it needs it, but for the time being, we're going to go ahead and keep both. I read the Passions translation. I don't think I got through the whole thing last year as part of 75 Hard. Yeah, it looks like not even halfway through. So where did we leave off? I think I ended with this book. I read a couple others first. So I'm in Romans. That's where I left off. I do still want to use this as a reference as well. And then I got a book from these two Mormon gentlemen that caught me on my walk. Yeah, so it was winter. It was a wet, snowy, light snow day. I was totally dressed appropriately, and they were dressed to go to church with no overcoats even. They might have had an overcoat, but poorly dressed for this weather. And they joined me on my walk for a couple of blocks about. So anyway, they wanted me to read this one section, which I will probably do. It's not very long, but I don't think I'm ever going to get to this, honestly. I was curious what's in the book, and so I don't know. Just, they're all so long, right? It's taken a year to get through the Old Testament and the New Testament in the regular Bible that I'm using there, the brown one, and then to read the Passions translation, and this would be afterwards. So, but I could knock that out, read that little thing, and then let this go too. So we're going to put that on the to do and declutter pile. So essentially, time will tell at a certain date. If I haven't done it, it's going anyway. That's my rule. So do we start in the box? The box should be, okay, let's do this pile. You can't see it though. Let's do the box first. Just for all of you, we're going to do the box first. Okay. I have to unload it. It's just tons and tons and tons of books. Okay, some of these are signed books, which is problematic sometimes for me. Like, I feel like I should keep it because surely it's sentimental because it was signed to me. It may have my first name in it, but it's not like they wrote a very personalized message, because this is authors writing, signing tons and tons of books, right? Oh, I think one of these is a workbook. Okay, box is empty. The box will probably remain our keep items. This was a book my mom lent me. I do think she's done with it, but I have not at all gone for it. I think both of these books my mom lent me, gave me. I think she's done with them, but I'll have to check. The Girl on the Train, and my sister just saw that the other day and was like, oh, that's a really long, kind of hard to read book. And then this Echoes in Death by J.D. Robb, and I've never I've never read anything by this author or this author, so I'm not familiar with their work anyway, but I think I'm going to check with her that she doesn't want them back, and we'll let them go. I also have Wild, and I feel like, so I started it. We have a little fortune cookie in there. I made it to chapter 2. This is my, it's fewer pages than normal. I often make it to page 100 in abandoned books, kind of notorious for it. I gave up on this one at page 29. So I think what I discovered is I really like group travel books, but I don't like solo travel books. and that's what this is. So this one, I'm pretty sure, I really do think it's mine to get rid of. So donate. And then we have The Good Girl's Guide to Getting Lost, and I have totally read it already. It was a group travel guide. I think 2 friends. 2 friends. So I've actually probably forgotten enough about it now that I could reread it, but I don't reread books. So we're gonna pass that one on too. The Great Gatsby, I have not read yet, and it seems like it's a short enough book, it would be enjoyable. So my goal was to have like 1 or 2 physical books on hand yet to read in case I lost power, that kind of thing. I'm usually good that I have a book I can read on my Kindle loaded, that even if I lose Wi-Fi, I can still read. And it's not very often I lose power for an extended period of time, so not having it charged is not the end of the world. So it's really more about not being able to load a book. This one's a pretty good choice to keep on hand. And then Adventure Divas. Did I read this one already? Okay, so after years of working behind a desk, Holly Morris quit her job and set out on a global trek to find daring women who shared her philosophy and adventure that adventure is not just a vacation mindset, but a way of life. Now Morris shares with us the remarkable people and places she's encountered on the road. Chief of Police who revolutionized India's brutal... I don't think I've read this one yet. And there's really no evidence that I have read it yet. I think I asked people for books that met that criteria I described earlier with groups of friends who traveled. And that one is not a group traveling together, I don't think, but I'm gonna hang on to it for a second and we'll think about that one. So Natural Solutions for Digestive Health. I think this is a companion book. It's a meal plan thing. So we were looking, I have the condition, mast cell activation syndrome. I've mentioned it in the kitchen video before, but we'll just recap it again. It caused all kinds of digestive problems from food triggers. And I tried so many different recipes, and they will promote, try a low histamine diet, but there really is no such thing as low histamine in the sense that histamine grows in each individual food differently. So you could have 2 apples and they're going to have different histamine levels. So all food seems to have histamine, and they all have a different amount at different times. And so it just wasn't as simple as trying to follow a diet. So we have quite a few books here about food, and I think we can totally let them go now because I have found my major triggers. Not to say that I won't be sent back to the drawing board again later, because it can change over time, and especially as your stress levels change. But I think we can let go of all health books. Those I may have borrowed from my mom, so I need to double check before I let them go. So I'm chucking them over in the double check before they go pile that I created over there. I think we have, do we have more food ones? It doesn't look like in this pile. And I don't see any more in that pile, and I pulled some over here. Oh, here's one. This was an interesting one. The Intuitive Eating Plan. And I think, whoop, it had some interesting details. So I have notes left and right, but they're not actually in the book because I didn't want to destroy the book. So it was a workbook, and I wrote down stuff on a sticky note, stuck it to the page under the prompt. So that one is going to have to be sanitized before I let it go. There were some interesting observations about psychology and food in here. I think a lot of people had reviewed this book, and some people said that they really the author really misled the results of the studies quoted. So that's a little bit maybe not the best source. But I did learn some stuff that was interesting in here. I don't know that it's ultimately food deprivation and emotional eating. Food deprivation, I don't know. Yeah, I think probably I might want to just summarize my little notes and observations. So that will be one of those like to-dos before gone. We're gonna put a time limit on it and it's going away. And is it the only one? I think that's the end of the food books. So, is that one? No, that one's a migraine book. Okay, so we have some health books left. What category do we want to do next? Ready, Set, Grow is one that's signed to me by the author. I met her, she did a reading for our SWE group, which is Society of Women Engineers, if you're not familiar. It looks like I've just highlighted a couple of pages. What is bitterness costing you? Acknowledge what has been lost. Acknowledge what has been lost. Confront the offense. Own your piece of action. Decide forgiveness. Plug into the right resources. Yeah, so not a lot. Oh, I've highlighted a little bit. Okay. And this is an erasable highlighter. I can recognize that it's a little faint, but I think after time it becomes permanent, so this is probably permanent. I'm not too worried about donating highlighted books. If you're good at taking notes, definitely donate them. They're wonderful to get books from somebody who's a good note taker, truly. I had a thermodynamics book that was highlighted by my roommate who just was really good at taking notes. She had all the right stuff highlighted and it was so helpful. So I'm not that good, I don't think, but I am at least kind of sparing with what I highlight. This one had prompts and stuff, but it's really about the professional environment, I think. So like here, I highlighted, these people draw energy and attention from gossip, criticism, arguing, and whining. They are often masters of the dig. They use sarcasm like a precision tool to push your buttons and enjoy holding up your weaknesses to the world. We get to feel superior that way. So this is toxic alliances is that category. So I kind of think I will summarize those notes too. I'm making to-dos for myself and I'm going to have to be really judicious at the end about which ones are worth it. But this book I love. So if you want to improve your speaking skills, it's called 5 Steps to Professional Presence. And I thought it was really succinct. It's not super long and very actionable steps. Keep control once the affair over a case of newlyweds. What? Don't throw bouquets at me. Approach a romance with a coworker. Wow, I didn't even know it had this stuff in it. Okay, so there's more than public speaking. There's a lot of stuff in here. I think this is the one. No, is it this one? Yes, okay. These are different books. I'm sorry. This is the one you want for public speaking. It's called The Exceptional Presenter. It has diagrams and everything. This one is actually about like social media and managing your appearance professionally. And how to project confidence, competence, and credibility at work. 5 Steps to Professional Presence. I would guess that this one is kind of obsolete because I know it addresses social media. Now that I'm getting the book straight, this one addresses social media, and that's how I got the concept to squat on all of my name profiles, even if I'm not on those accounts. So sorry if you found me and you think I'm going to post there. I don't. So that would be like Twitter. I don't do anything on Twitter, but I'm squatting on an account with my name, which is kind of rare. So my name is rare. Let's see, that one's just going to go. I know it's mine. The exceptional presenter was really, really good. So I have, yeah, lots of highlighting and flags all over in this book. So it's like how to summarize, tell them what you just told them, wrap up a Q&A, and close your session by delivering your purpose statement. If you deliver a presentation without the use of technology, you probably don't know your material well enough. What? If you can't deliver the presentation without the use of technology, so like if you have a slideshow and your slideshow disappeared, can you still present? Things like that. So I found this one to be very, very useful. And again, yes, a lot of it will be covered in Toastmasters or various other speaking books. But like it had this T-Rex thing, and you'll notice I do T-Rex, unfortunately. It's hinge at the elbows. You might raise your shoulder, but you hinge at the elbows and kind of hover your arm at this level. So that's one I had to break, and I don't always do a great job of it. So when I'm thinking, a lot of times it's like presenting to large audiences. I even have handwritten notes in here. Squaring up to different areas helps keep the microphone in front. Slide your notes forward. It's just really practical things, and I think it covers in meeting rooms as well as large audiences, whether you have a computer. This one I really like. The question is, should I just summarize it? And I haven't been doing as much public speaking. Isn't that weird? I've been doing lots of videos, but I really haven't been doing in-person public speaking very much lately. I don't consider workplace speaking to be the same way. So I was in Toastmasters and I used to do very public speaking. I didn't get very far because of the mast cell thing that started cropping up, and the nerves that I would get would trigger mast cell reactions, and then I'd be itchy and like stiff. The muscles in my neck would be like locking up while I was trying to present. And so it got to the point where I really couldn't proceed. And now that I know more about my condition, there might be things that could be done to get back into it. But yeah, I just have a lot of good highlights all over the place. What is this? A list of don't do's? Q&A reminders. Oh, gotcha. So this is kind of rebuttal stuff. So yeah, it even has like when to get back. I think this is very practical, and even with my future plans, this makes a lot of sense. Not that I'm planning on giving large presentations, but I'm planning on doing different kinds of presentations. So that one I think I'm going to keep. Where did I put the other two books? Oh, over here. So that's my pile to consider more. There's 3 in there right now. I have How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I have tried reading this multiple times. I think it's highlighted a little bit too. Yep, there's some highlighting in there. The highlighter has really, really faded. Either that or it was a bad one to begin with. But both of us are eternally interested in solving our problem. And if salespeople can show us how their services or merchandise will help us solve our problems, they won't need to sell us. We'll buy. I really thought that was Zig Ziglar stuff. I also underlined some stuff. This is Dale Carnegie. He might have took that one. I don't remember which one's older. Isn't that bad? I think Dale Carnegie's older. If you don't do this, you're headed for trouble. I think I might have skimmed this already. And it is really easy to find copies of this book. It's so popular, right? How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a really, really old book, and the library would definitely have it. So I think we're gonna go ahead and let go of this because my highlighting doesn't seem to be like especially useful even to me. Like, it's not specific things for me to remember, and it's also, there's not a lot of it. And I didn't flag a bunch of pages or anything like that. It looks like I didn't even get through the end there. So that's a good book to read. I probably still want to read it technically, but I can check it out at the library for free and on my Kindle, and I can highlight it there and then have access to the notes. So let's do that, right? Okay, here are the engineering books. I don't want to touch those quite yet. Oh my goodness. Okay, that one, value stream mapping, that's engineering. That's engineering. These two are project specific. So PMP stuff. Yeah, super fun. So the next one is John Maxwell, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And I know it looks like I tabbed a bunch of stuff, doesn't it? But it's actually just frayed paper sticking up in there. I started reading it. I know I did. I wanted to get better at specifically making friends and keeping friends. So I have always kind of been transient with my friends, that I will go through several different groups and usually a couple at a time. And I just don't long-term connect in one group. Like, don't get me wrong, if I meet those people that I was friends with in one period again, we're still super tight. We can definitely have conversations that flow naturally, but I'm not in regular contact, and so it's just not as good, I guess. It doesn't serve that purpose for me. So that was my goal, and that's been probably 7 years ago or so that I started that. And I've underlined a lot of stuff here. I think the one thing that I did take away from this was that asking somebody for help creates a bond, that people like to feel needed and help. And that, I think that was probably the only thing I've taken away so far, because to be fair, I didn't even get to page 50, I don't think. Here, I pulled the bookmark out, but well, I did. I got to 50, right around 50, 52 or so. So I haven't read any more of this, but my guess would be, because John Maxwell is also a well-known author, that I could find this at the library too. So I'll just make a list of the book if I don't already have it on my list, and then donate that one too. Then I have Captivate by Vanessa Van Edwards, and this book was recommended by, what's his name, Tom Bilyeu on his show. That's how I was introduced to her. And I read this and applied quite a bit of it to my coworkers, but it is really intense. It's got a lot going on. And even though I did like identify my coworkers, I didn't get to put a lot into practice. I find it interesting that contempt means something different than I thought my whole life. So I did learn some stuff. And she's got these hacks and stuff. It's supposed to be really useful, but I didn't find it to be terribly useful. I would bet I could find this also in the library, so not too worried about that if I wanted to use it again. But unless I work with a close team, I don't know that it will be valuable, because there's a lot of stuff about networking in there, which is interesting. Like, where should you be in a networking event? Where should you stand to have the most interactions and conversations with people? Things like that, which are kind of useful information. Basically, it's after the bar. Let people get their drinks and then interact with them. But A couple of places you definitely don't want to end up as well. I think one was by the bathroom. I'm not really sure why that one was. I can't remember, but. And then I have high performance habits, and I got this as part of like the course. Maybe I bought the course. And this was really helpful to me. Oh, I filled it in. There's some prompts. Enjoy helping others and learn so much from others. So I've read the whole thing. I think I even kept notes places. Grace under pressure. Huh. This one is very, very annotated. I have underlines absolutely everywhere. At the time, this was really, really, really useful. Huh. I think this book might have came before the Captivate one, and so that's when that one came across, and it was one of my goals I'd highlighted in this book. So I want to review these notes again before we do anything with that. So I'm going to hang on to it for now. It's a very thick book, but I think it had a lot of good nuggets. And then I have Daring Greatly, which honestly I have held on to. I think I didn't read very far into it. I might have finished it actually as part of 75 Hard. But not very much sticks from this book actually. It's pretty much like the title is what sticks and what the point of the title was. And that's what sticks for me. And the rest is, I just really love the colors of it, and it's fun to decorate with, even without the cover. So I have been using it for decoration mostly. And that's same with, this is Tony Robbins' book, Life Force. And it's the same kind of thing. I kind of like this pop of color. I don't know if they're identical colors. Yep, identical colors. I like the black binding better on that one. So, but I started reading this. It has a lot of stuff in it, and it's very like new medicine-y. I say E because it's less about like traditional medicine and more about like scientific research and what's coming up. So I put my Kansas library card in here. I don't think I can use that anymore. Don't know. So I was reading about blood plasma apparently last, but I think I've been jumping around in this one. And that was kind of my intention, to use it more of a reference manual. So I don't know where I am on that. I set it aside. I don't know that much is stuck from it either, because it is a bulky book. This is a children's poetry book that it looks like I got it on maybe a sale from the library when I was a kid. And it has a poem that I love. And I see here, it has a poem called Jabberwocky, and Jabberwocky was a product that they made up in Better Off Ted, that they created a whole fake campaign over. It was a funny episode. So the one that I like is Whether the Weather Be Fine. Whether the weather be fine, or whether the weather be not. Whether the weather be cold, or whether the weather be hot. We'll weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. I really like it. Very Dr. Seussy. It's an anonymous poem. So that is the only thing that really means much to me. My niece and nephew might be coming up on the age to be able to enjoy poetry. I don't really know for sure. But I think for me, I could just take a picture of the cover and this poem and be good. So we're gonna go ahead and let that go. And then maybe later on, I'll just gift it to my niece and nephew. Then I have this lovely book, which was bought at the Terracotta Warriors in Xi'an And I met the guy who owns the farm, well, sold the farm, but owned the farm, and he signed it. It doesn't mean a whole lot to me. There's a lot of information about the Terracotta Warriors in here, which a lot of pictures of the original finds where the paint was still intact. So when you go see it now, it looks like everything is made of terracotta, but originally when they uncovered it, the paint was still intact. And so they have some pictures of, and there's a few of them they put behind glass, I think, that have retained some of the color, but they were all painted to look human. I can't even find the picture now. But you can see some of the faces were painted here, but the whole body was painted. And then some of them were discovered by a emperor later on that destroyed a bunch of them, right? But they didn't discover all of the soldiers, so many remained intact. And then there were 3 tombs of them. Here, this is the one that gets me. So very good face painting there. And you can see a little bit of red still on the uniform. The armor looks to be metal. And so that's what they looked like as they were uncovering them. But now you can't see the paint. But that's why they haven't uncovered one of the tombs yet, I think, still. Because they don't want the paint to disappear, and they're hoping down the line maybe they can actually restore it better. Or preserve it better, we should say. They can restore it now, but there's so much detail in them. So it was really cool to see. They don't let you get terribly close. You're actually way up high from the tomb, but that's the only way to actually see how massive it was. So very cool experience. This does not hold much meaning to me, and I think I could find all of these pictures online. So we'll let that one go too. Somebody else might enjoy it more. And then, okay, these books here, let's do all of these. And this is another social media one, and okay, that would kind of cover the regular reading stuff. So I have this book that my migraine specialist had recommended, and it didn't help me at the time. I was struggling with post-traumatic headaches from a car accident that then, as we got that under control, it would toggle back to being migraines, and it just kept going back and forth. And the medicines are for the one type, what's that term? I'm forgetting. If you take the medicines for the one type of headache, it would make the other one worse. And so it was just very, very hard to figure any of that out. It's just a to-do list. But I think I really didn't find much useful anything. They do have this stuff about, like, if you have to go to the hospital for migraine, how to not be seen as a drug-seeking patient. Emergency treatment request and information. I don't know if anybody had any luck with that actually working, but oh, and here's some Social Security information regarding migraines too. If you're earning more than $810 a month, you generally cannot be considered disabled. If you are not working, the SSA will go to step 2. Is your condition severe? So for me, with migraine, this doesn't apply anymore. Working part-time, I can pull things off, so I don't know that there's much in here for me. Finding practitioners and support. I might not be out of the woods on this, because if I go back to working full-time, the migraines are likely to come back to some degree. My protocol's pretty good right now, but I know that my crappy post-traumatic sleeping is a problem. So, but I'm guessing, again, this one I could probably find at the library, at least virtually. So I think we'll just save the name of it and call it a day on that too. The content marketing I've been working through recently, I read it as my first book with 75 Hard and worked through the exercises. Obviously, this is something I do with my business currently, and I know that there's quite a bit I haven't yet applied. I think I'll hang on to this one as relevant to work right now, like the presenting book. And then I have The Curated Closet, which I really loved this book. I don't think I need to hang on to it anymore. Like, I worked through it well enough. I think I remember the steps. But I'm often trying to share this information and I forget what the name of the book is. And if I didn't have the book physically, I forget. But I've linked it in enough places now, I should be able to find it. But yeah, I think we could pass this one on. It's a really good book. Oh, there's an Amazon thing in there. I got it, I think, as a Christmas gift. I put it on my to-do Christmas gift list and was given that. So it's a really good book, very well illustrated. That wouldn't show up well in a Kindle, unfortunately. But if I donate that to my local library, might be able to check it out later too. So I think that's what we'll do on the ones that are good reference books still and fairly relevant. We'll just donate them to the library. So far so good, right? Okay, I have the Motivation Manifesto from Brendon Burchard. That's a couple books from him already. And it is definitely a different style of book. I feel like it's a philosophy book, sort of, where it prompts you to think about things. I haven't read very far. I can't remember the last time I read it even. Probably at least 2 years ago. I gave it a decent go not that long ago, but it just kind of bombards you with prompts and then there's not a lot of space to think it through. And there's a lot in there, obviously, so I'm not sure on that one. And then this was John Deloney's Own Your Past, Change Your Future. This book here. And I don't think I've marked it up. I could be wrong. I try to do that now. I think it's important to highlight and partake. And ultimately, I would say that the point of his book was really about we need society. We need to build close networks of people that we can depend on, because that's what brings us security and peace of mind. And so the takeaway is very simple. And I could let this go. I have been using it for decoration. But I think I could gift it. I might gift it to my brother-in-law. I was trying to, based on what he wrote, or maybe also his shows, I think a combination of talking about the book he wrote in the shows. I had supported my sister supporting her husband, getting involved in a church group to try to build a community of men around him. And I think he kind of has. I don't know that they're really in an advice sharing space, but the more you hang out with people, the more that will just occur naturally. So, you know, everybody needs a sounding board. I built up a select group of people that I go to with, especially like career advice, a very specific set of people that I really trust and admire their approaches. So I have mentors, formal mentors, as well as some just, you know, coworkers that became mentors kind of thing. So yeah, what are we doing here? So that one we're gonna gift away, like the kids book. And 75 Hard, I know a lot of people are hunting for this book because Andy Frisella doesn't publish this version anymore. It's now all combined in a bigger book, and this one's a nice, fast, to the point book with pretty good explanation of how to do 75 Hard and the reason behind it, that kind of thing. So I read the whole thing. It was the first, might have been the second book. I think I finished a book first, and then this was the second book I read in 75 Hard, and I did have to restart after I learned something, I think. I don't see that I'm gonna need it anymore. I think we can pass this on. I'd love to put it in my local little library, but in truth, that the door keeps blowing off and everything's getting wet, so probably we'll be donating to the library instead. And let's see, still not sure on these two. Is it time to get rid of Daring Greatly just because we're using it for decoration? It's very, not sure on those. Okay, let's do we do subject matter specific stuff? So this is the 5th edition of the PMBOK. So that's Project Management Body of Knowledge book. And the direction that I'm planning on going probably will choose a different technique. But if I were to want to ever get certified, this would be useful. However, they update it every so often, right? So this might also be a good candidate for donating to the library because it was current as of 3 years ago, maybe. When was this one published, guys? I don't know if they give you the original published date. It looks like they do. So when was it updated? They should have that recorded somewhere. So it says it was 2013. Could it be 2013? So it might not be the current version anymore. It must be 2013. So yeah, it may not even be the current version. And then we have the practice standard for scheduling, which was also from PMI. I have done so many variations of scheduling that I don't know if there's anything in here really novel to me anymore. There's the critical path calculations, schedule model, full scope and project. And honestly, there are so many new software options too, but this is more high level systems, like how to go about it in any software. Rolling wave planning entails planning the near term work in detail and presenting the future work at a summary level. Yeah, this is not components, scheduling components. I don't foresee being required to really know this at this level. And there's a lot of definition stuff in here, such as finish to start, start to finish, which are just scheduling from the end goal forward or scheduling forward from the start date forward. So a lot of this looks like it's just definitions. Critical path. I just don't think there's anything surprising in here anymore. Conformance index. Assessment process. Guidelines for a PMI practice standard. This is probably the only piece that I wouldn't necessarily know but this too is going to be from 2007. I don't know if they've updated this one though. I didn't look again when I started doing the PMI, because this one came with a course, PMI, yeah, the PMP prep course, and this one came with the course, but these other ones are older with a previous version that I already got rid of. Performance scoring. And then this is all glossary. So yeah, there's really nothing special in that. So I think we'll go ahead and get rid of both of those. It's just bulky as heck, and it will obsolete itself if it hasn't already. So we're gonna let go of those. And then now we're getting into older information. So this is the kind of stuff that has stayed true for decades for the most part. So value stream management, this is from the 80s, I believe. Came out of lean manufacturing. And then this is even older, but a lot of the data sets are from the 80s, but some of this information goes further back than that. This is a summary of all equations used for, well, not all equations really. It doesn't have a lot of my professions. So it's got statistics, which could be useful. I don't know how easy it is to look this stuff up anymore though. And would you find bad information? I don't know. It's just equations by category. So there's statistics, there's differential calculus, integral calculus, differential equations, statics, which I actually used it for the statics. Last time I used it, kinematics, dynamics, I don't do that. Hydraulics, heat, strength equations. Oh, I guess I use strength, not statics, because I was doing steel construction stuff. Beams and bending, so it's strength stuff. Machine parts, product engineering, electrical engineering, control engineering. What do they define that as? Step response, transient value tolerance, ramp response, action diagram, actuator. Oh, interesting. Control engineering is really not what I expected it to be. Okay, that's fascinating. Chemistry, and then just heat value tables, magnetic properties, and the like. So it's a pretty quick guide, but again, I haven't used it since I did weight calculations for a steel, well, several steel shelves to create weight limits for safety reasons. So that would be so long ago, 8 to 11 years ago, something like that. The statistics equations could be useful for me moving forward. There's we have no business stuff in here. How much statistics? Because I got rid of my statistics books because they really weren't good references. They were just chocked full of example problems. They were huge books. So this is a very random sampling, confidence intervals. This is a good reference for statistics. So I think we'll hang on to that one still. This is another one. This is conversions. Like you want to convert BTUs into joules. This is the rate that it converts. So calories. I look this stuff up, truly. So, and it's been pretty, like there's usually converters in there that you can just type in the number and get what you want. It doesn't work for everything, and the more scientific you get, the less likely you are to find it. But truly, I will not remember that I have this option. I never got used to using it. It was allowed in the test, and so that's why I have it. Stay. Now these are the three books from my profession that I actually referenced a lot, as you can see from the flags on the books. This one, our professor encouraged us to flag and label for tests because we were allowed to use the book in the test, but it's time limited, so you have to get to it fast. So we're very used to referencing this book, which is why I hung on to it. My criteria was, is the information still relevant? Like, it hasn't changed. And 2, do I know how to use it as a reference? Because I'm not going to go back and read it straight through. So that was my criteria for school books. And I would highly recommend anybody do that too. I don't think I've used this technique like once in my professional life. And then this thing, which honestly, don't need a book to tell you. I have a phone number in here. Don't know who Isaac is, but flow patterns, measuring flow, things like that. So these flags don't mean anything to me anymore. Like, why would I highlight measuring flow between and amongst departments? It was probably because of that one chart method. Yep. And I screwed it up somehow when I did the test and kept making the same mistake, which is why I flagged it to try to correct it. But anymore, I don't know. Layout planning, models, and design algorithms. And then this category actually did, is this the plant layout one? It has some really cool stuff in it, but I think it's pretty unlikely I'll be using it moving forward. Because I'm not planning on going back to that career. So I did do quite a bit of that at my last job, but this book is really pretty untouched. So I think, gosh, it's an old book. This subject is fairly, ooh, something smushed in there. It looks like makeup, actually. How old is this book? 2003, that's any original printing date. 2003 is not super, super old for what's in here, so I don't know if anybody's going to want that book, though. Okay, this one I referenced at work a surprising amount of times for how old it is. Oh, will this one be relevant ever again? This is really production planning, production management. So if you're not in production, I think it's just not going to be relevant. Setup production. Forecasting could be relevant, maybe. PwC. What was that again? Practical worst case. Is this like when you can't fulfill orders? Work in progress. This highlighted all over the place. There's something shoved in there. Where was it? The pages are moving funny. It's in there. There we go. Homework, maybe? Yeah, well-used book. Quality measures. See, this doesn't even have LP. Okay, let's look at the LP. More notes. Aggregate planning. Is this bad? I just don't even, what is LP? Workforce planning. So what is the L? There we go. Linear programming. And a solution tool, various examples. So that was its own course. So I don't know that this linear programming is gonna be much of anything. Capacity constraints. Yeah, so it covers a little bit of what was a whole separate class. So we probably didn't use that category a whole lot, just an introduction. Capacity management. So this is stuff I know pretty well. Could I forget it? Absolutely. So, I don't know, the flags and the marks up. I don't know that anybody wants it, but I don't need it anymore either. So, is anybody going to ask me for help planning their manufacturing plants? Probably. If they're going to start a manufacturing plant, they will hire people to do that. So, this is some ergonomic stuff for eye fixation. Lifting guides. This might be about the only thing that's still relevant. Environmental design. Yeah, it's about illumination and still got, it covers so many things like color codes, ergonomics. What else do we have on our flags? Don't know what that one is. Extremely remote. Decision-making tools. Value engineering. Man. It's a little borderline. Synthetic rating. Let's see when this one was published. The 11th edition. Most recently published in 2003, which actually looks like they redo it sort of every 4 to 8 years. It's 5 years, 6 years. Yeah, so they're republishing it. There would be at least 2 or 3 more versions of this book since that point. I swear, I've been looking for short videos and I expected to have very little books in this category. But I think my giveaway pile is already something like 20 books, which means I definitely was not minimal in this category. Now, granted, you can be very, 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 very maximal in the book category. But for somebody who reads books on Kindle, this is quite a lot of books. So honestly, I can't quite figure out I feel like I know where to look up recent information for all of this stuff if I wanted it. Costing quoting, I did that for a long time. Wage stuff, I bet that's kind of irrelevant. I mean, the general concepts would be there, but you know, wages keep changing. A lot has changed since 2003. We have nice formula references here that would not be in the other, that reference book we're hanging on to over here. Yeah, because this major was just not covered in that particular engineering book for whatever reason. So this is like manufacturing rates, and I don't know why they don't have any manufacturing in that book. That seems a little weird, but the material cost, work sampling, heat stress, severity rate, time studies. Without a key though, because they reuse symbols in engineering pretty bad. So what is C1 and C2? It could be It probably represents sound to some degree, but I'm not sure in this context what that is. This is decibels, probably. No, it's supposed to be less than 1. Your noise dose of less than 1. And C over T. I think I'd just basically look these up again from scratch where the explanations would be there for me. So I don't even think those equations are useful. So yeah, off that goes too. Now we're down to value stream management. So this one's for manufacturing and this one's for office work. So streamlining processes in office work. And my tendency is to think that this might still be relevant because I would help people organize processes of paperwork probably more than I'm actually helping them to this level on a shop front, because it's not likely I will be back in manufacturing and this is really high level stuff. It's annoying as heck to do, truly. I hated doing it. I don't feel like value stream maps are intuitive to read for me, but they do seem to work well for materials people, that they get it. And it is very material centric. So I think we're gonna let the manufacturing one go. Because again, I would look up how to do anything I'm missing. I know I have copies of those electronic files and templates, and I've taken additional Lean classes. I think Lean Six Sigma, which had even more templates. So the office one would be the only one. It's kind of problem identification, ways to go about analyzing the problem to set yourself up to find solutions. It's not going to give you the solutions. It's also not going to teach you what the most recent tools are, but it could make it obvious that you need to find a tool to do X. So it helps you drill down on a problem. Worker balance chart, so that would be scheduling people. This one could possibly be relevant. And I don't know of another book that translates Lean for office, but I don't think I've ever actually fully used it. And all of the templates should technically be the same. I should skim through it a little bit and see how much might be relevant to just generally helping people organize an office. But I doubt anybody's going to expect me to do anything this deep. Junka bucks. Orders, exceptions, orders. It's a very literal example. Visible pitch board. This might only apply in service centers, that stuff. Flow icons. I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to try to look into this one a little bit more. So we're keeping these. You want to see the pile? Should we put the pile somewhere you can actually see it? I got these. And these are for sure. These I was still thinking about. So I think, yes, we'll keep that one for now. Those are the two work-related ones. Well, this one too. This is general stuff. That's a reference. And then Bibles. Okay. Now, personally, I'm pretty much ready to dump the yearbooks. I know that seems crazy to some people. Okay, I don't know what happened to this picture. but it looks like something blew up on him. It would help me remember teachers and stuff, and I just don't have any specific memories of school ages anymore. I'm really bad about coming up with details, and I don't make myself practice that much. But what are you going to gain from just looking at pictures of people and their name? I guess you could quiz yourself, do flashcards of your old classmates, but why do old classmates when you could do new classmates? I don't have new classmates, you know, newer. And like this year is so old. Is this all? Why do I have a 99? I'm skipping. Oh, there. Okay, so no. I'm missing a lot of volumes. That's weird, isn't it? Did I keep some? Maybe in my sentimental bin I already actually kept some. So I have, this is 99, 2000, 2001, and then it jumps to 2004, which would be my senior year. In theory, it would be important, but nobody signed a senior year book because you got it well after you graduated. So my friends are in these books, of course. I had some, I think, friends on the yearbook committee even, so I show up in pictures here and there. But they're crappy black and white pictures. So yeah, there's my classmates, but it's just like, I don't care. I just kind of, what memories it does recall are kind of bad because it's like I'm missing from this. So I think probably the other books I already determined were useful, had something worth keeping, and that these are the ones I don't care about. Should I be keeping my senior year one? Everything says yes, I should, but it just does not mean anything to me. Yeah, these are ones I think I already decided I didn't give a shit about. So what I don't know is, what do you do with yearbooks? And they printed my name on that one. Isn't that wild? I've never seen that before. None of the other books are that way. So anyway, these are, I do not care about them, so they're gonna go away somehow as soon as I can figure out how you get rid of yearbooks. Somebody suggested a museum, but I would sure think those are already in there. Do we even want to touch recipes yet? Okay, what are we gonna do with these? Honestly, let's get rid of these. Oh, Tony Robbins. Some Alzheimer's research. That is very significant to me. Not because Alzheimer's runs in the family per se. My grandfather does have it, or had it. But because of the brain injury and my other medical numbers, I think I'm a little more at risk. But I think these things that he brings up here are really expensive right now. Like, they're just being researched. And if there's even a human application. Because they're talking about proteins in the brain, inflammatory molecules, all that kind of stuff. We sort of already know about that. lifestyle changes, sleep, handle stress, interactions. So interactions, social interactions for the elderly help lower Alzheimer's, kind of makes sense. Exercise. Diet, low sugar, because sugar's inflammatory. Clear toxins from the brain. Which we know there's a issue with, what is it, well, is it the mitochondria that eats the dead cells? Something like that. Anyway, you're getting a little overly happy. Neurosurgical Roto-Rooter, the low risk procedure to get things flowing again. Away by our lymphatic disposal system, but the brain, buffered by the blood-brain barrier, relies on a very different sanitation service, cerebrospinal fluid. This natural cleansing percolates through the interstitial spaces of the cortex and works its way outward to the medial temporal lobe and hippocampus. I don't know. We're still kind of in that health improvement phase right now, so I think I'll hang on to it because it was expensive and it's huge. Is that a good reason to hang on to it? I'm going to put a time will tell on it, I think, and we will give ourselves a certain period of time to get through at least summarizing the things that I think are relevant in the near future. And then I guess, as much as I like the looks of this book, it's time for it to go too. And Motivation Manifesto. What do we think? I think it doesn't speak to me. It goes. Okay, so this is what we're down to for now. From that huge stack of books, I feel like we might need to do recipe stuff later. Honestly, I'm already into like the third video clip, so yeah. Does that sound good? We'll just cut recipes out into another category entirely, because that's going to take a long time. I'm going to have to go through each book. I have some flags, but they were things that interested me. And then now, knowing what my food restrictions are, I need to go back through and look at it from a fresh point of view. Now you can see that I am down to just this one little stack of books. And then I have my Kindle, which I read tons of stuff on. And I do have these 3 workbooks yet. And I will probably part with, I don't know about the business one. I need to review that one. I might part with that one and probably the Tony Robbins. Because it was just for a workshop that is finished, so I might just summarize what's relevant if I haven't already somewhere, and then get rid of it, because it's been several years since I did that workshop. So yeah, that's that's where we stand. If you want to see it all, let me know. But no, I'm going to show it to you. I swear, I'm going to show it to you. I hope you found this useful. As always, I never know how relevant our different stashes of things and mindsets are. I am not a huge reader, and I definitely don't identify myself, like I don't attach my self-worth to books at all, so I don't have to worry about like I got rid of my favorite book from childhood and somehow I've lost my identity. Like I just don't attach that way. To me, the thing I have to fight is the potential for greater skill enhancement, right? Okay, we're gonna call this the end of all books except recipes. And we'll do that in another session because this is just way too long. So I apologize for making an 1.5 hour long video. It was not my goal, but I do like to show the process and the thought process going behind what I'm letting go of, what I'm keeping. so that might help you apply that to your own things and your own goals and see how to adapt those. So I hope you enjoyed episode 8 and let me know what you thought. And I'm sorry if you struggle more with books, but I do really recommend Kindle Paperwhite, especially because even with the brain damage, reading screens would trigger migraines for me. It took a while, but a lot of screen use would trigger migraines, and the Paperwhite does not do that. It's not stressful on the eyes at all, and it's very easy and light to travel with. You can turn off Wi-Fi and keep your library books a little extra long too, so I highly recommend Kindle Paperwhite if you want to look at going digital, and especially the fact that it doesn't have all the extra things to alert you and ding and whatnot. You still do have a browser, though it's clunky, and that's been a really good solution for me and helps me utilize the library. So I highly recommend that. Good luck with your books. I hope you did go ahead and dive in and take a look at what you had and challenged your own beliefs about what you have. And hopefully we all get a little bit more minimal. Not to say to stop enjoying your books, because please do enjoy your books. Enjoy more books. Check them out from the library. They don't have to be your books. All right, see you next time. Bye.